Hello and welcome to Herobrine's Mansion Part 3, I think it is. Unfortunately, I have to tell you that this is not right in the spur of the moment. At least the commentary isn't, because quite stupidly, which I haven't actually done for ages, is I forgot to turn the microphone on. But anyway, yeah, usually it's the other way around with most people, like politicians and stuff. They leave the microphone on, say something weird. But anyway, let's not go into that. Let's just get to the point of today's video. So, as you can see, I am about to fight the Skeleton King, because if you remember, we just completed that maze, and here I am kind of thinking, where is he? And he suddenly like appears from the roof a bit strangely, and then basically I get completely owned by him. Yeah, it's not, well, it is weird. I don't really understand how this game works, because I think maybe because I played on easy, when you respawn you're like right back where you currently were. But what he seemed to do at this stage is he kept on, I'm not sure, he had some weird knockback ability with his bow, and he kept on hitting me into the cobwebs where I couldn't move. As you can see, there's another example there. Yeah, because I think I'm playing on easy, you spawn back and the like boss hasn't regenerated or something, whereas I'm assuming probably on normal or hard, maybe you respawn and then you have to start the fight all over again. But yeah, I think I've done like 3 times in the end, so I am pretty rubbish. But yeah, I just hated his knockback ability because it was just insane. And what I didn't really understand either was that he tried to kind of almost hug you. He's got a ranged weapon, but then yeah, he's trying to like run into you and like hug you, but then his ability is like to knock you back. There you go, that's the first death, so on 1 death so far. So yeah, I mean, and then he does like a bit of a fail shot, then I'm not sure what that was supposed to be. But yeah, you see, I don't understand why he tries to get so up close to you, because he's a ranged guy. I mean, surely he wants to keep me away, keep me back, which he obviously does with his ability, but then he kind of contradicts himself by then deciding, oh, actually, yes, let's hit you back a bit. It's a bit weird. But yeah, nonetheless, of course, this doesn't use mods or anything, so you can't really blame them. And he's got so much health. I think we're just about, yeah, that's the second death, whilst I then go flying across the room. But the bosses have so much health, and the fact that he's supposed to try and keep you away. I mean, I don't know if this is something to do with the fact that I'm on easy or anything, but yeah, kind of. It was a bit weird, because I kind of thought, well, surely a ranged person would be programmed to kind of keep you away. Like, if you played MMOs, if you're like a ranged character, you generally want to stay away from the melee ones, because they're the ones that do the damage to. Because, of course, if they can't get up to you, melee enemies, they can't do any damage. But, of course, this guy just decided, oh, I'm going to go up and hug you and then try and hit you from like 2 centimeters away. But nonetheless, it's still great. I enjoyed it. I do finally kill him. There you go. He's dead now, and he dropped his little crown, which is pretty useless. But I did get some of the angelic set, which I think is the next kind of tier up, and then you get to demonic, which I assume you probably get that from Herobrine himself, because I'm not quite sure how it works, but I don't know if you kill Herobrine before the Wither King or the Wither King. I think you probably kill the Wither King first, and I'm assuming from that you probably get some pretty good stuff from that if you manage to kill them. Luckily we're not at that point yet, because that is going to be pretty ridiculous. I'm trying to kind of think what I'll do to get away with that, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. And what's so annoying as well is that you probably saw me take a few potions whilst I was doing that fight, and what really annoys me is that obviously, like, I don't know, like World of Warcraft, when you have a potion, it does actually, you take it instantly, and it's obviously got global cooldown. If any of you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But what I found was that, because you know you have that weird drinking animation which takes up about 3 seconds of stuff, when you're trying to kill a boss or do any fighting, it's just impossible to safely take a potion. So you can't really survive without potions, but then whilst you're taking a potion, you're practically defenseless for 3 seconds or whatever. especially in the case of the Skeleton King when he's a ranged mob. There's really nothing you can do to stop him from killing you. But yeah, I mean, his AI was a bit off. But otherwise, it would have been a lot worse if it wasn't. And you will still notice I just haven't patched the texture pack, which is pretty stupid. So yeah, we definitely see that once we go into the mansion, because there's fire everywhere in the mansion. I think there's like a kitchen, there's like a weird like ring of fire and stuff, and it looks awful. You have that dodgy error pack. But I've never really understood why you have to patch some texture packs, because I've had times when like it just works. As soon as you install it, it just works, but I'm not sure, that's probably just me. So I'm currently being recommended to go back to Victor and his partner, and as 80 Alpha rightly said, you can swap rotten flesh for like steak and stuff, which I didn't actually know, so that has helped a lot, so thank you Alpha, because that has saved me practically. Otherwise I would have been going along thinking, oh, I've only got rotten flesh to eat, but there you go. I've got some potions, I got some more steak, so I didn't actually get enough. I'm kind of spoiling like all this. I mean, there's nothing really particularly interesting about the fact I didn't get enough, but yeah, I ought to have got a lot more, because to be fair, what else would I spend rotten flesh on? I should have really gotten more, because once I went into the mansion, I suddenly looked at my health, my hunger bar even, and suddenly thought, hang on a minute, I'm on really low hunger, and that required like 2 steaks to fill up, and by that point I've only had 3 left, so didn't really go in that well prepared, but we'll see what happens. And there's the next quest. We have to get in the mansion, kill Arietta the spider, Zaphor the mage, Beneath the witch. You also see that I've left this up for a while because I was recording this live thinking that the microphone was on, so I'm actually leaving that up there, so I just kind of had to read over it again. But you'll notice we have to stop Herobrine from bringing the Wither into the world, but then I was just looking at the other quests, because obviously he does bring it into the world, but I think the idea is we've got to stop it once it's in the world, so effectively we're kind of one step behind in a sense. But at this point I was kind of thinking, well, what's the best way to go into the mansion? I was starting thinking like Mission Impossible kind of thing, blast through the windows, go through the balcony, go underground, and I was just thinking, okay, let's keep it easy, let's just go through the front door. So yeah, that's not like particularly interesting. Again, another patch error. Lightning doesn't work. And I think the mobs get easier, especially these mobs when I was like first in the game. These like took 10 or so hits or something to kill. Whereas yeah, they've gone down quite a lot. And I think yeah, one shot of that one. And here's the dodgy stairs, which I think whoever Herobrine's caretaker team are, I think he needs to get a new caretaker team. I mean, look at the state of that, it's awful. Anyway, on another note, whilst I'm just randomly killing mobs, which I'm doing for pretty much the rest of the video, it's got a point of Black Ops 2. It's kind of a bit of a contradiction, because it is different than any of the other Call of Duties. I think what I found is that Treyarch, in my opinion, have always been the better developers for Call of Duty, because if you know, I think they had a bit of a fallout, and originally they were working on stuff together, but yeah, then Infinity Ward, there's a little pygmy there, Infinity Ward suddenly just said, oh no, actually, we don't like you anymore. Well, I'm not really sure the whole basis of it, obviously, but yeah, basically they just decided that they didn't like each other. So, I think Treyarch are better, because every game you've got from Treyarch are all the kind of more interesting storylines, because not kind of raining down, but Infinity Ward, every single game like Call of Duty they've made is exactly the same. I mean, Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, I mean, they're all the same. All they've done is kind of taken a couple of guns out, added a couple in, and then changed the levels that you get, like the AK-47 at, or you get the any other kind of gun you get. They've just kind of muddled that up a bit and added the max level higher, changed the prestige system, slightly, added new maps in, which isn't particularly bad, but then when you think of it, wouldn't it be better just to simply, I don't know, even just have one Modern Warfare game, whereby you then add on these maps, constantly updating the game? Because I know it's probably pretty hard to do that on the Xbox, but I mean, it just makes a lot more sense to me to put all those maps into one, because I mean the game, like, effectively all the Modern Warfare games are the same, apart from they've also been optimised, they look better. Multiplayer's different, the campaign's different, and I've got to admit the Modern Warfare 3 campaign isn't bad. It's not bad, but I think from a multiplayer aspect, it's kind of like, yeah, it's the same. Whereas I think what Treyarch usually do is that they have a different storyline, they have a different time scale to Infinity Ward, because Treyarch, you remember, I'm not going back too far here, but Call of Duty 5 World at War, based in World War 2, World War 1, which I know was like in the basis of their original games, but it's a lot more interesting, because none of us who play this game were around then. All we know about is some knowledge from our history classes about the World War. So a lot of us kind of don't really know much about it. The guns are interesting, the campaign's interesting, you learn a bit about the World War at the same time as it being fun. Then you had Black Ops, again based in like the Cold War era, again another interesting place which many of us don't know anything about. Which again is interesting because it's different from just Modern Warfare, because we all know about Afghanistan and Iraq. Not saying like it's not important, because it's horrible I think that like all the fighting goes on in these wars, but we all kind of know a lot about it, whereas when you've got a completely different sense of timescale, it's a lot more interesting, because none of us have been there or like kind of know anything about it. I'll just tell you, I'm fighting an elite here at this point, just to fill you in what's going on in the background. I've kind of been ignoring that for a bit, but there you go, there's an elite, which is pretty tough to kill actually, goes a bit weird then, starts walking around. So yeah, he's probably just below a boss, that one there, but yeah, going back to Black Ops, I think the timescale they've got with it is great, because Treyarch, I feel, have always been better, because they've made more interesting maps, they've got weapons that most of us won't even know much about, and yeah, I just think, I'm wondering what Infinity Ward's next move is going to be, because usually it goes Infinity Ward, Treyarch or whatever, but I'm thinking, are Infinity Ward going to do something different this time? Are they going to learn that, yeah, we've already got 3 Modern Warfare, so basically exactly the same? Are they suddenly going to think, actually, should we do something different? So it's going to be interesting, because I think especially the futuristic view on Black Ops 2 is going to get probably most people who aren't interested in Call of Duty maybe to probably give it a go, because it's different. Most of the weapons don't exist. It's got really no real story behind it, which I think makes it interesting also, because it kind of adds in almost a bit of fantasy in there, but not really too much. But then futuristic, I think they've got the idea now. They're bringing like customized and like being able to drive vehicles and stuff, and just spicing up more of the game. I'm not saying any of the Call of Duty games are bad, but they're pretty good. Well, anyway, thanks for watching my video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.